Okay, hi Neela. I was going to show you some of the stretches we were talking about, so we're just going to go in order and I'll put together a video for you. So the first one is the child's pose. So we're going to be on your knees. You're going to sit down onto your heels, walk your hands forward and come back up and forward. Then the second one, I walk forward and tip to the side. So I walk to the side, come back up, walk forward and slide to the side and come back up. And then the third one for your upper back is to walk forward and we're gonna rotate through. So slide forward, rotate through, come back, forward, rotate through, come back, forward, alternating those. So that's your upper back. That helps mobilize thoracic spine. So anything from your neck to about right here to be ready to go. Then we have your hip flexor stretches. So I have your yoga belt or your aggressive strap. It can't be something weak. If you put it around your hip, right underneath your butt, I'm gonna lean back into it. I'm gonna reach over my head, come back, over my head, come back. And then I'm also gonna tip away and come back. So that's all while I'm leaning back into the belt to help lengthen psoas, to take pressure off my low back and to improve my arm reach. Okay, so the next one we're gonna do helps you warm up for squatting. So I'm gonna put that same yoga strap in one hip. I'm gonna walk out, knees are bent, ankles are bent. I'm gonna hang out into the strap and reach forward as far as I can. All my body weight goes into the strap. Come back up, reach forward. You can take pressure off. You don't have to come all the way back up. Reach forward. Then we're gonna rotate towards the strap. So if I put one hand on the ground and reach through, knees stay bent, hip stays bent, I keep hanging here. Rotate through, come back, rotate through, come back. That helps mobilize hamstring and posterior hip capsule for squat. Then I have the cross step TFL one. If I have a step, a bench, a box, something that's a little bit off the ground, 4 inches, 6 inches, I'm gonna leave my inside leg planted, cross my outside leg up over and tip and come back and tip and come back. That warms up the outside of my hip. That's important for dropping and cutting on fielding. It's also important to warm up so that I can load to swing a bat. Like that makes a huge impact on that. Then the next one is half kneel adductor. I'm gonna be on one knee, leg out to the side, up nice and tall. I'm gonna drop your butt back, sit back into it like you're squatting. Then drive your hips up and reach back as far as you can. Drop back down, reach back as far as you can, really driving your belly button forward. That helps warm up abdominals and groin. That adductor or groin being mobile helps take a lot of pressure off your low back for cutting, batting, and throwing. So that's important to have ready to go. Okay, the next one we have is type 1 T-spine. So your upper back likes a combination of opposite side bend to rotation. So if I rotate to the right and I side bend to the left, that helps mobilize my upper back. I need that for throwing. I need that for batting. And that's the motion that helps stretch out all the little segments in my upper back. So you're gonna face a wall so you have a visual target. I'm gonna face a wall. I'm gonna rotate away, side bend towards, come back, rotate away, side bend towards, come back, over and back a couple of times. Then I'm gonna warm up pec and belly. I'm gonna get my arm in the squat rack, lock it at a 90-degree angle as long as nothing's pinchy or gross. I'm gonna take a step, rotate my belly button, rotate my chest, rotate my head, come back, take a step, rotate, 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 come back. That helps warm this up for throwing and for batting. And then the last one is body on head cervical mobility. So when I'm gonna bat, your head has to face the pitcher and your body has to move around your head. So a really good way to mobilize that is to keep your head fixed. So if I'm gonna stare at a target on the wall, I'm gonna stare, I'm gonna take a rotational step and I'm gonna reach both arms as far as I can to the right, keeping my head on the target, come back, step and reach, come back, step and reach, come back. 5 times and then 5 times the other way. Now that mobilizes your spine so that when you load to bat, you can see better. Okay, so next we're moving into upper body strengthening. So you can use a band or a cable column. I'm gonna do a row with rotation for my first exercise. So I said for you to be in a stagger. If I'm rowing with my right arm, my right leg needs to be forward. I'm gonna row and I'm gonna rotate my trunk. Woo, this is a really tough band. I'm gonna row and I'm gonna rotate my trunk over that hip. That helps load my hip. So I'm getting a little bit of hip, a little bit of belly and upper body as I row and rotate, row and rotate. When I do the left, I'll put my left foot forward and I'll row and rotate. So that's that one. The next one is a cross step with an overhead press. So military press, this you are not allowed to do because when I use 2 hands, I get a whole bunch of upper trap recruitment. And then for someone who's playing softball, that decreases my ability to get my arm in my slot and my head turned because I get too much upper trap if I'm a female athlete. So we would rather have you do a single hand overhead press and get a little thoracic side bend into it because then I get more belly, I get more back, and I get more butt. But we're gonna add a cross step with it so that I can get hip, belly, and shoulder at the same time. So if I take my weight in my left hand and I'm gonna leave my left leg closest to the box, if I cross step with my right foot, I'm gonna step up and press, come back down, step up, press, come back down, step up, press. In a perfect world, you're gonna start straight, and then as we get better at it, press and side bend into it so that we get more oblique. I need that side to be strong. When I go to hit, I have to have a solid surface for that to create resistance so I can swing through. So that exercise helps with shoulder strength, but it also helps with hip load that you need to be a stop leg for hitting and for throwing. Our next exercise is bench press. That's pretty self-explanatory. And then I have cross step with 2 hand rotation. So we're doing a trunk rotation here, okay? But instead, along with it, I am gonna cross step my back foot. So my right foot is gonna cross step. I'm gonna rotate out and step out. Come back, rotate out and step out. Rotate out, step out, okay? So the goal is it should be a strong enough weight that it's work, but I can still rotate as far as I can, thumb up grip, and step all the way out and rotate all the way through. So it doesn't do any good if you're short and choppy. We want long lever arms. Rotation helps feed a healthy back, and rotation also helps feed 90% of your sport with hitting and throwing. The next one is horizontal abduction with tricep pull. Okay, so I want a solid upper back, so I can use a cable or a band. I'm gonna do horizontal abduction, so that means my elbow is in line with my chest, and then knees are gonna be slightly bent, elbows in line with my chest, and I'm gonna do a tricep kick here. Okay, so this is a functional tricep kick. We need that position, right, for flips in softball, for extension off the bat, and because I'm in this squat loaded position and I'm already at 90 degrees or I'm loaded with my elbow in line with the rest of my body, now I get upper back strength, kick, kick, kick. You have to do both sides, even though primarily if we're looking at hitting, my left side is forward. I want you to do both sides and focus on having a really good solid upper back when you do it. I have Bosu flip push up. Next, we're gonna take a Bosu, and when I say Bosu flip, I mean the blue side is on the bottom. I can do a push-up with my hands on each side of this and do a push-up, or I can put my feet on it and do a push-up on the floor with my feet on the Bosu. It's whichever you want. And then next I have terminal bench, okay? So if I'm laying on a bench and my arms are here, when I fly, what I want you to do is go below bench height, and then we're gonna bring it back up even to the bench, below, even to the bench, below, even to the bench, below, laying on a bench. What that does is does terminal pec length. So I need that to open up and be strong for the first elongation for whip when I throw. So that little like negative fly to zero will help with that and is a good upper body exercise. Okay, next we're gonna do a tall kneel fly. So what I want is, again, band, cable, something resisted. I'm gonna be on my knees. When you drop with the weight, we're gonna drop down towards your heels. Then as I fly, I'm gonna come up and fly, come up and fly, come up and fly. You can fly here, you can fly here, you can fly low. The important part is as I drop into it and I fly as I extend, because what we want to have happen is my hip should load my shoulder blade, should load my arm. So this improves the timing for that. And as I work up into this and my belly muscle has to catch my pelvis, that works on belly strength at the same time. So that's a win-win. And then the last upper body one we're gonna do is crossed up with delt fly. So instead of just standing there doing like a lateral delt, if I add a cross step with it, meaning I'm gonna step behind, sorry, I've got a lot of stuff here. If I reach my right foot and my right hand back, and then I step and bring this out to 90, cross step, step, cross step, step. First of all, I'm getting a butt workout in combination with my shoulder, so that's a good thing. Second of all, it is truly, when I go to reach out to the side, like I'm gonna get my front arm up before I throw, you don't feel it, but this opposite hip loads that activity. So when I do a cross step fly, that helps improve the timing of this, so it's working the way it's supposed to, so my shoulder has good hip support instead of my shoulder just having to do stuff on its own. Okay, so now we're gonna do lower body strengthening. So when I say Bosu flip, I mean that we're on the blue side of the Bosu. The first exercise I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be on one foot. I'm gonna reach both hands up. You can either reach back this direction, you can put your hands behind your back. If you feel safer, you can put your hands behind your back here instead. But I want head behind hips, and we're gonna do a single leg dip. Okay, so if I'm on a Bosu and my head and shoulders are behind my hips, that biases my quad. Then the next one I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a single leg dip, except now I'm gonna reach the opposite leg back. So now if I stand on one foot and I reach this left leg as far back as I can and come back up, and I reach as far back as I can and come back up, now we're biasing butt muscle. So I have a quad bias Bosu squat, I have a hip bias Bosu squat, and because I'm on a Bosu, ankles, feet, abdominals get a lot more input, and you get stronger faster. Okay, so next we're gonna do the same concept with a bench. It's a little more stable surface, so I should be able to get through greater range. I'm gonna do quad bias first, so I'm gonna put my foot up on a bench, okay? I'm gonna be in line with this opposite foot, hands up over my head, and I'm gonna do a single leg dip, single leg dip, single leg dip. I can make it harder by putting weight in my hands. I can make it harder by hopping, okay? Those are two ways to make it harder. Then the next one is bench assisted cross reach to ankle. So same thing, I'm gonna put a foot up. Now I'm gonna take this arm and I'm gonna reach it forward in space as far as I can to the left and come back up. Wow. And as far as I can, squat down, single leg reach all the way through to the left and come back down. So what that does is that biases hip, and it's functional for fielding. So I have to be able to bend down and reach forward in space, and my hip has to be strong enough to manage that motion. If my hip is not strong enough, my low back is going to work too hard. So this helps us with fielding on the run as I'm moving through the infield. And so it also protects your back, because the stronger my butt is, the less pressure's on my back when I bend, squat, reach, and do stuff. Okay, so next I'm gonna use a wall because I need a target so that my body doesn't cheat. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna do a wall single leg dip, reach from shin to overhead. So what I'm gonna do is be close enough to the wall that I can reach and touch. So I can reach and touch. So I'm gonna stand on one foot, I'm gonna bend down, I'm gonna reach and tap my shin, then I'm gonna come up all the way through, reach back and touch the wall, then come all the way down, reach back and touch my shin. First of all, this is a great combination butt and belly exercise, but again, it also helps with motor planning. So my hip is supposed to load my reach, so this helps me learn it. Then the next one we're gonna do is a triple extension. So if I have my foot up on a step, okay, and my hands are on the wall, I'm gonna drive through, bring my knee all the way up to my wall, all the way up through my toe, and then drop back. I put that we wanna cross your body. If you drop back and I drop wide, it overworks this part of my hip. When I drop back, if I drop back across my body, it does a much better job of using glute, and you're gonna get a lot better benefit out of it. So if you do a triple extension and I start in a crossed up position and then drive up and through, you're gonna get a lot more bang for your buck. This helps with sprinting speed, power, and hip strength for follow through on the throw. The next one is a hands on the wall single leg dip. So I need the wall again because your body's gonna cheat to find a way to make it easier. So this time I'm gonna be single leg. I'm gonna fix my hands on the wall so I have to stay loaded, and then I'm gonna do a single leg dip. Okay, so this helps strengthen you for running downhill in cross country. It also helps with that like abdominal combination hip strengthening for reaching back to go get a ball, reaching back to throw, and helps eccentrically strengthen my hip flexor. That makes this a lot stronger, so that if I'm strong and stable here, it takes pressure off my back. Then we're gonna do single leg reach to midline to the wall. So if I do this, it's quad biased because my head and shoulders are behind my hip. If my head is forward, it's hip biased. So instead of doing a traditional RDL, a single leg RDL where I reach straight down, if you walk it out a little bit, okay, and I stand on one foot and I take that foot and I reach it as far back as I can to touch the wall, bent knee, bent hip, and then come back up. So that was too easy. I need to have it be hard. I have to go as far as I can to get all the way to the wall. That helps me rotate all the way through that hip, and it works on end range strength for your butt, which you need for sprinting and reaching all the way to the ground for ground balls. I also put on their reach to midline. What's gonna happen is when you do that single leg reach backwards, your body's gonna cheat and your pelvis is gonna tilt and you're gonna reach wide because you don't wanna use that whole butt muscle. So when I reach back towards the wall, if I reach back towards midline or across that hip, you force that muscle to work and you get better results out of that strengthening exercise. Okay, next we're gonna do a tall nail swing squat to overhead. So I'm gonna be on my knees. I can use 2 weights or 1 weight, okay? 1 weight, or I can grab 2 weights. What we're gonna do is swing back, drive up, swing back, drive up, swing back, drive up. Okay, that works belly, hip flexors, butt, shoulder, and it's a momentum shift, and so your body has to manage that momentum at a fast rate, which helps protect your back. when you want to be in a sport where you have to sprint and field and throw. Then the next one, we're going to add a TheraBand or a belt or a bungee. I will send you home with one of the TheraBands. We're going to put it in our hip. So this is springy. And so now it's the same thing. I'm going to walk out into it far enough that when I bend, it pulls me back into this hip. So it's going to force you to use your butt when you squat instead of overusing your back or overusing your knees. So now I can drop and drive, and I'm going to press forward into that resistance. Drop, drive. I can also make that harder by taking a weight, swing, reach, swing, reach. And then our last one is band resisted cross step. So now I'm going to put the band in my waist. Same thing. I'm going to leave that inside leg planted, cross step behind it, drive out, cross step, drive out. Okay, so we're going into the band. So my band is here, cross step, drive. The point of the exercise is how far across can I step, and then I'm going to explode out. This is hip strengthening that's really important for side to side and rotational control of your low back, but has a huge benefit in that it'll make you a more explosive fielder, and you have a lot more hip to drive a ball in batting with too, so it's a win-win. Okay, so next we have single leg overhead reach in a straight line and with diagonals. And I have you reaching to a wall because again, after rep 2, your body will start to cheat and figure out a way to do it easier. So I need to have a target. I'm gonna cheat and use the cage. If I stand on one leg, I'm gonna take that ball and I'm gonna reach it back and touch the wall and come back. So I wanna be far enough away that this is a big challenge, but not so far away that it hurts my back. Your abdominal's job is to control the forward and back motion of your trunk. That's like functional strengthening. So once my abs can't do their job anymore, I get a lot of hinge in my low back. So we do not want to go past that mark. I want to go to where I start to feel it, if anywhere, and then return, because that helps work abs and eccentric hip flexors for throwing and sprinting. So the first exercise is single leg, and I'm coming straight back, come forward, straight back, come forward. The second exercise is I'm gonna be more at a diagonal. So I'm gonna have you reach to the left, reach to the right to kind of get those obliques. You can use a med ball, you can use a dumbbell, you can use no weight to start if you need to, just to help give you a little bit more control. Our next is a wide-based hip drive. So if you go on 2 knees, and I am 2 knees wide, okay? So super wide. Now I get adductors, lower abs, upper back. What I'm gonna do is bring a med ball or a weight to the floor. I'm gonna reach up over my head, drive my belly button forward and my pelvis forward, and then come back. I can go all the way to the floor. I can stop here and go half, overhead, 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 driving my hips forward. Again, abs, hip flexors, groin. This helps, all these things help stabilize my low back, but this is also functional abdominal strengthening for throwing and for sprinting. You are not allowed to extend back far enough that it hurts your back. To make it harder, I can use heavier weight, or I can go at a faster rate of speed, and that will increase the resistance in the exercise and make it tougher. Same concept now with my overhead reach, except that I did at the wall, except now I'm gonna make it harder with a BOSU. So if I stand on a BOSU and I'm gonna be up, I can go single leg, how far back can I reach? And come forward, single leg back, how far can I reach and come forward? You can make that harder by adding a weight or increasing the speed. Again, that is functional abdominal strengthening. So we're strengthening your belly for what it's meant to do in space. It's not, or in function, it's not just crunches to give you a 6-pack. This is how your belly muscle has to work to support your low back and to support your sport, but you are not allowed to have low back pain with it. So you need to stay short of that reach. If you don't have the belly muscle right away to control it, you will be amazed at how fast you get better at this. If you do this for 2 or 3 weeks, at the end of the 2-week mark, you're gonna be able to go farther than you did, just because part of it is your body has to figure out how to recruit that and make it work. Our next exercise is a plank march. So I can put my Bosu now, finally we're on its correct side. If I get down into a plank position, okay, so if I'm planked, I can be hands on either side, march up, come down, march up, come down. I can also flip around and have my feet march up, come down, march. So it's like a box run, except I'm in a plank position. Because that does a really good job of being stable and managing an unstable position. Then we're gonna move to single leg band. Oh, I lied. Yeah, I did, single leg band. So I can use a band or a cable. Okay, it's that same concept of functional strengthening, right? So we were on a single leg. Now I'm gonna let the band, okay, or the cable, I'm gonna be out far enough so that it pulls me back, pulls me back. I have to drive forward, let it pull me back, drive forward, let it pull me back, drive forward. That's eccentric ab strengthening. So a muscle gets stronger faster if you make it be long and strong at the same time. So you can actually strengthen abdominal muscles faster, and they can be stronger if we lengthen them while we strengthen them, instead of always asking them to be short like we do with a crunch. Instead, I want to reach and control to help support my actual activities. The next one is a med ball pound. So if you have a med ball, this I want to do on 2 knees. So I'm just going to be on my knees. Here, I'm gonna reach over my head and then I'm gonna drive it to the ground. Reach over my head, drive it to the ground. The most important part is how far can I get up and back and then aggressively pull towards the ground again, because I want that eccentric lengthening, contract hard, eccentric lengthening, contract hard, to get most of the strength out of that. And then, my last one is a Bosu pike. So now I'm gonna be on my Bosu. You can be on the soft side, meaning hands on the blue side, or you can be flipped. I'm gonna be in a plank position, managing this flipped position. I'm gonna drive up, and then I'm gonna flatten out. And then I'm gonna drive up, and then I'm gonna flatten out, and I'm gonna drive up and flatten out. Again, we're asking my abdominals to change and stabilize based on my pelvis moving in relation to my shoulder. So it's a nice little core strengthening workout that'll help support your back.